Time is slipping past you quietly, not with noise, not with warning, but with a patience that is more dangerous than chaos. It moves while you hesitate, while you wait for confidence, while you tell yourself you will begin when the moment feels right. But the truth is this: the moment has been calling you all along. Every second you delay, a version of your life goes unwritten, a possibility goes untouched, a dream grows colder. Today is not asking for perfection, it is asking for courage. Listen closely, because what you choose to do next will decide whether time becomes your greatest regret or your greatest ally. Time is the only gift that never returns once spent, and yet it is the one we treat with the greatest carelessness. We guard our money, we protect our belongings, we worry about what others think of us, but we let hours slip through our fingers as if they were endless. Each minute arrives quietly, asking nothing, and leaves taking everything it was meant to give. You may not hear it go, but one day you will feel its absence. That is when you realize that time was never small, never ordinary, never replaceable. Every sunrise hands you a clean page, but too often it remains blank because you told yourself you would write on it later. You waited for motivation, for confidence, for certainty. You waited for life to become easier, for fear to loosen its grip, for the world to give you a sign. But time does not reward waiting. It responds to movement. It answers those who step forward, even with trembling knees, even with imperfect plans. When you delay, time does not pause with you. It moves on without explanation. There is a quiet cost to wasted time that no one warns you about. It shows up as regret, as a heavy question late at night asking, "What if I had started sooner?" It shows up when you see others living a life you once imagined for yourself, and you tell yourself stories to feel better, but deep inside, you know the truth. The truth is not that you lacked talent or opportunity. The truth is that you spent too much time doubting your own worth. Time is not cruel, but it is honest. It gives equally to everyone and asks only that you use it well. It does not care about excuses or intentions. It does not measure what you planned to do, only what you actually did. Each day you choose comfort over growth. Time records that choice. Each day you choose action over fear. It records that too. Your life becomes the sum of those quiet decisions. You do not need to change everything at once to respect your time. You only need to stop betraying it. Stop telling yourself you have plenty of it left. Stop offering it to distractions that leave you empty. Stop giving it to people and habits that drain your spirit. Use it instead to build, to learn, to try, to fail, and to rise again. Even the smallest step taken with intention can transform the direction of your life. One day, time will stop offering itself to you. Until then, it is waiting to see what you will do with this moment. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Choose to honor it. Choose to move. Choose to live in a way that, when you look back, you will not grieve the hours you were given. Every delay is a silent decision against your own dreams, even when you do not mean it that way. You may call it rest, timing, or caution, but beneath those gentle names, there is often fear quietly choosing for you. Dreams are fragile in their early stages. They need movement to stay alive. When you postpone action, your dreams do not remain frozen in hope. They slowly lose warmth. They begin to question whether you truly want them, whether you believe you deserve them. Delay teaches your mind to accept less than what your heart desires. One day of waiting turns into weeks, weeks into years, and suddenly the life you imagined feels distant, almost unreal, not because it was impossible, but because you kept placing it just out of reach. Dreams are not lost in a single moment. They fade through repetition of "not now." Each delay whispers to your spirit that your dreams can wait, and over time, that whisper becomes a habit. What makes delay so dangerous is how harmless it appears. It does not announce itself as surrender. It arrives dressed as responsibility, patience, or preparation. You convince yourself you are being wise. when in truth you are being afraid of disappointment, afraid of failure, afraid of discovering your own power. But dreams do not ask for perfection, they ask for courage. They ask you to show up before you feel ready, before certainty arrives, before the fear disappears. When you delay, you also delay becoming the person your dream requires you to be. Growth happens in motion, not in waiting rooms. Confidence is built through action, not imagination. Strength is revealed only when you test it. Each step you postpone is a lesson you refuse to learn, a version of yourself you refuse to meet. Your future self is waiting, but not forever. There will always be reasons to wait. Life will never stop presenting obstacles, doubts, and distractions. If you decide to begin only when everything is aligned, you may never begin at all. Dreams are born in imperfect moments and carried forward by imperfect people who decide that now is enough. Not easy, not ideal, but enough. Understand this truth gently, not with guilt, but with clarity. Every delay costs you something. It costs momentum. It costs belief. It costs time that could have been shaping your destiny. Yet the moment you choose to act, even in a small way, you interrupt that pattern. You tell your dreams, I hear you, I choose you. And that choice changes everything. You do not have to run, you only have to move. Speak the words you have been holding back. Take the step you keep postponing. Begin where you are, with what you have. Let today be the day you stop deciding against yourself in silence and start choosing your dreams out loud. Fear often disguises itself as waiting for the right moment, speaking in a calm and reasonable voice that sounds like wisdom. It tells you to pause until you feel confident, until circumstances improve, until you are certain you will not fail. It convinces you that hesitation is maturity and delay is intelligence. But fear is patient, and it knows how to wait longer than your courage if you let it. While you wait for the perfect moment, fear quietly settles in and makes itself comfortable. The truth is, the right moment rarely arrives the way you imagine it. It does not knock on your door fully prepared and smiling. It usually shows up disguised as discomfort, uncertainty, and risk. Most meaningful beginnings are messy and inconvenient. Fear knows this, so it keeps you believing that preparation will one day replace courage. It tells you that you are almost ready, that you just need a little more time, and so you wait, mistaking delay for safety. Waiting feels harmless because it does not demand anything from you. There is no failure in waiting, no rejection, no visible loss. Yet beneath the surface, something precious is being taken from you. Every time you wait for the right moment, you teach yourself that your fear deserves obedience. You reinforce the idea that your doubts have authority over your desires. Slowly, waiting becomes a habit, and fear no longer needs to argue its case. You obey it without realizing you are doing so. Fear also hides behind logic. It shows you all the reasons why now is not the time. It lists responsibilities, risks, and worst-case scenarios with impressive detail. And while those concerns may be real, fear exaggerates them until they feel unbearable. It shifts your focus from possibility to protection. Instead of asking what could grow, you begin asking what could go wrong. In that space, action feels reckless and waiting feels wise. But growth has never required permission from certainty. Confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you earn by moving forward despite doubt. The people who seem fearless are not free of fear. They simply refuse to let waiting make their decisions. They understood that courage is not loud or dramatic. Often, it is quiet and trembling, choosing to move while fear is still speaking. When you stop waiting for the right moment, something powerful happens. You begin to see fear for what it is, not a guide, but a guard trying to keep you from change. You learn that discomfort does not mean danger, and uncertainty does not mean failure. You realize that the moment becomes right only after you step into it. Action gives clarity, waiting only deepens confusion. You do not need fear to disappear to begin. You only need to stop letting it dress itself up as patience. Start where you are, even if your hands shake and your voice feels unsteady. Let action interrupt the illusion of waiting. The moment you have been waiting for is not ahead of you. It is created the instant you decide to move. Your future is not something waiting for you in the distance. It is being formed quietly by what you choose to do today, not by your intentions, not by your plans, but by your actions in this very moment. Today may feel ordinary, even insignificant, but it carries more power than you realize. It is the doorway through which every tomorrow must pass. What you plant here is what you will eventually live with. Many people imagine the future as a dramatic turning point, a sudden change that will arrive one day and rearrange everything. But the future is built far more simply than that. It is shaped in small, repeated choices, whether you show up or stay silent, whether you try or postpone, whether you honor your time or give it away carelessly. These choices seem small because they happen daily, but they are steady and they are faithful. They work for you or against you without rest. What you do today teaches your future self what to expect from you. If today you choose discipline, tomorrow learns to trust you. If today you choose avoidance, tomorrow learns to lower its expectations. Your habits are conversations you have with your future, and every action sends a message. Over time, those messages become a life, not a sudden accident, but a predictable result of how you treated your days. It is easy to underestimate today because it does not shout, it does not threaten or promise. It simply offers itself and waits. But one day you will look back and realize that the days you rushed through or ignored were shaping you all along. The skills you failed to practice, the courage you delayed, the words you never spoke, all of it mattered. Today was never neutral. It was always leaning in one direction or another. You may feel that what you do today is too small to matter, but small actions are powerful because they repeat. A single step may not change your life, but a direction does. When you choose growth today, even imperfectly, you begin to shift the path you are on. And paths, when followed long enough, determine destinations. Your future does not require perfection from you. It requires consistency. There will be days when today feels heavy, when motivation is low and doubt feels loud. Those are not days to wait for inspiration. Those are days to practice commitment. Doing the right thing today, even without enthusiasm, is an act of self-respect. It tells your future that you did not abandon it when things felt difficult. That kind of loyalty compounds. Do not ask today to carry the weight of your entire future. Ask it only to take one honest step. Learn something. Begin something. Let go of something. Choose something that aligns with the life you want to live. Today does not need grand gestures. It needs truth and effort. Your future is watching quietly, shaped by every choice you make now. Treat today with care. Use it with intention. Because one day, you will stand in the life you are building, and it will be made entirely of the days you chose not to waste. Comfort zones quietly steal years from your life, not by force, but by persuasion. They make staying feel sensible and leaving feel dangerous. Inside them, nothing demands more from you than what you already know how to give. You wake up, repeat familiar patterns, and tell yourself that this is stability. But comfort is not peace, and familiarity is not fulfillment. It is simply a place where growth is no longer required. The danger of a comfort zone is not that it hurts you, but that it numbs you. It dulls your hunger for more and softens your urgency to change. Days begin to blur together, and you stop noticing how much of yourself you are withholding. You are safe, but you are also shrinking. The life you are capable of living stays just outside the walls you refuse to step beyond. Comfort zones are convincing because they reward you immediately. They offer relief from fear, protection from failure, and shelter from judgment. But what they give you in the short term, they take back in the long run. They take your courage by keeping it unused. They take your confidence by never allowing it to be tested. They take your dreams by slowly teaching you to want less. What makes this loss so painful is that it happens quietly. There is no alarm that rings to tell you you are settling, no clear moment when you can say, "This is when I gave up." Instead, it happens through small compromises. You stay silent when you want to speak. You stay still when you want to move. You choose what feels easy over what feels right. And years later, you wonder where your time went. Growth does not live in comfort. It lives in the unfamiliar, the awkward, the uncertain. Every meaningful change you have ever experienced required you to feel uncomfortable first. Learning, healing, becoming stronger, all of it begins with a moment of unease. Comfort zones try to convince you that discomfort is a warning, when in truth, it is often an invitation. Stepping outside your comfort zone does not mean abandoning safety or acting recklessly. It means choosing progress over stagnation. It means allowing yourself to be a beginner again. It means accepting that fear may come with you, but it does not get to lead. Each time you challenge your comfort, you reclaim a piece of time that would have otherwise slipped away unnoticed. You may think staying comfortable saves you from failure, but it also saves you from success. It keeps your life predictable, but it keeps it small. Comfort does not ask who you could become. It only asks who you have been. And if you listen too long, you may wake up one day realizing that you lived carefully, but not fully. Leaving your comfort zone does not require a dramatic leap. It begins with a choice, one honest risk, one uncomfortable conversation, one attempt you have been avoiding. Each small step weakens the hold comfort has on you and strengthens your trust in yourself. Your life is not meant to be spent merely feeling safe. It is meant to be lived, stretched, tested, and expanded. Do not let comfort quietly negotiate away your years. Step forward, even gently, even unsure. Time belongs to those who are willing to grow, not to those who stay where nothing ever changes. Discipline is an act of self-love, even though it rarely feels gentle in the moment. It is choosing what nourishes you over what merely comforts you. It is saying yes to your future when your present wants ease. Discipline does not arrive as punishment, it arrives as protection. It protects your time, your energy, and your potential from being wasted on impulses that offer relief but leave you empty. Many people misunderstand discipline as harshness, as restriction, as a rigid life without joy. But true discipline is not about control, it is about care. It is the quiet decision to show up for yourself consistently, even when no one is watching, even when motivation fades. It is the way you prove to yourself that you matter enough to keep your promises, especially the ones that are hardest to keep. When you lack discipline, you often mistake that absence for freedom. You do what feels good in the moment, avoid what feels difficult, and call it living. But over time, that freedom begins to feel like chaos. Days slip away without direction. Goals stay imagined but untouched. And slowly, frustration replaces joy. Discipline, on the other hand, creates a different kind of freedom. The freedom that comes from progress, from self-trust, from knowing you are capable of guiding your own life. Discipline asks you to do small, often uncelebrated things again and again, to wake up when it would be easier to stay asleep, to practice when quitting would feel justified, to choose focus when distraction is everywhere. These choices may seem ordinary, but they shape extraordinary lives. Each disciplined action is a message to your inner self that you are worth the effort, worth the discomfort, worth the patience. Self-love is not only soft words and kind gestures, it is also structure. It is boundaries. It is knowing when to rest and when to push. Discipline teaches you to listen beyond your moods and act in alignment with your values. It reminds you that feelings change, but commitments build. And through that consistency, confidence grows, not because life becomes easy, but because you become stronger. There will be days when discipline feels heavy, when it feels like you are forcing yourself forward while everyone else seems relaxed. In those moments, remember this: Discipline is not about denying yourself happiness. It is about delaying it for something deeper and lasting. It is choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure. That choice, repeated enough times, transforms who you are. Discipline also heals the relationship you have with time. It helps you stop reacting to life and start directing it. Instead of asking how the day made you feel, you begin to ask what you made of the day. That shift changes everything. You stop feeling at the mercy of circumstances and start feeling responsible for your direction. Loving yourself does not mean letting yourself drift. It means holding yourself with enough respect to guide your actions. Discipline is that guidance. It is the steady hand on your own shoulder saying, I will not abandon you. And when practiced daily, quietly, imperfectly, it becomes one of the most powerful expressions of self-love you will ever give yourself. You do not need permission to begin, even though you may have been taught to wait for it. Somewhere along the way, you learn to look outward for approval, to believe that someone else must validate your readiness before you take a step. You wait for encouragement, for recognition, for a sign that says you are allowed to start. But life does not work that way. The most important beginnings rarely come with applause or approval. They come quietly when you decide that your desire is reason enough. Waiting for permission keeps you trapped in other people's expectations. It places your life on hold while you hope someone will notice your potential and unlock the door for you. But no one else can live your purpose on your behalf. No one else feels the weight of your unused gifts or the ache of your unfulfilled dreams. When you wait for permission, you give away your power, and time moves forward without you. Many people never begin because they believe they must be chosen. Chosen to be confident, chosen to be successful, chosen to be worthy. But the truth is, most people who are doing meaningful work were not chosen at all. They chose themselves. They began before they were ready, before they were certain, before they were supported. They acted not because the path was clear, but because standing still had become more painful than moving forward. You may fear judgment if you begin without permission. You may worry about being misunderstood, criticized, or ignored. Those fears are real, but they are not reasons to remain silent. Every beginning invites discomfort, not because it is wrong, but because it is new. If you wait until everyone understands you, you may never speak. If you wait until everyone agrees with you, you may never act. Permission from others is unreliable. It changes with opinions and moods. Permission from yourself is the only kind that lasts. Beginning does not mean you have everything figured out. It means you are willing to learn as you go. It means you accept that mistakes are part of the process, not proof that you should stop. When you give yourself permission to begin, you also give yourself permission to be imperfect. That freedom is powerful. It allows growth to happen in real time, not just in your imagination. There is a quiet confidence that comes from starting without permission. It builds when you realize that you are capable of guiding your own life. Each step you take on your own behalf strengthens your trust in yourself. Over time, that trust becomes louder than doubt and steadier than fear. You stop asking, "Am I allowed?" and begin asking, "What is my next step?" You may not feel ready, but readiness is often the result of beginning, not the requirement for it. Clarity comes through action. Strength comes through effort. Courage comes through choosing to move even when uncertainty remains. If you wait to feel completely prepared, you may wait forever. Your life does not need approval to unfold. Your dreams do not need validation to be real. You do not need permission to try, to speak, to change direction, to become more than you were yesterday. Begin because time is moving anyway. Begin because your life is yours. Begin because no one else can do it for you. Procrastination feeds regret, not peace, even though it pretends to offer relief. In the moment, it feels like rest, like kindness to yourself, like choosing calm over pressure. You tell yourself you will do it later, when the mood is better, when the timing feels right. And for a while, there is comfort in that decision, but it is a borrowed comfort, one that demands payment later with interest. What procrastination really does is move the weight from now to tomorrow. It does not remove the task, it only adds tension to it. The unfinished work lingers in your mind, quietly stealing your focus and draining your energy. Even when you are resting, you are not at peace, because part of you knows something is waiting. True peace does not come from avoidance, it comes from completion. Over time, procrastination begins to shape how you see yourself. Each delay becomes a small broken promise. You start to question your reliability, your discipline, your strength, not out loud, not dramatically, but in subtle ways that affect your confidence. You wonder why you cannot trust yourself to follow through. That doubt grows heavier than the task ever was. Regret does not arrive all at once. It builds slowly, through moments you told yourself did not matter. It shows up when you realize how much time passed while you were waiting to feel ready. It shows up when opportunities move on without you, when deadlines close, when dreams feel distant. Procrastination does not scream its consequences. It whispers them until one day they are impossible to ignore. Many people procrastinate not because they are lazy, but because they are afraid. Afraid of doing it wrong, afraid of failing, afraid of discovering their limits. Procrastination feels safer than trying because trying requires vulnerability. But avoiding action does not protect you from pain. It only postpones it. And the pain of regret is far heavier than the discomfort of effort. Peace is often misunderstood as the absence of pressure, but real peace comes from alignment. It comes from knowing you are doing what you need to do, even when it is hard. There is a quiet calm that follows action, a steadiness that comes from honoring your responsibilities and your goals. That calm cannot be achieved through delay. It is earned through movement. When you finally do the thing you have been postponing, notice how different you feel. The relief is deeper than the temporary comfort procrastination offered. Your mind feels clearer. Your energy returns. That is peace. Not because life suddenly became easy, but because you stopped running from yourself. Procrastination keeps you living in the future, always telling yourself that real life will start later. Action brings you back to the present, where your power actually exists. You cannot change yesterday, and you cannot act in tomorrow, but you can act now, and every time you do, you weaken the habit of delay and strengthen the habit of self-respect. You do not need to do everything at once to break free from procrastination. You only need to begin. One honest step interrupts the cycle. One completed task restores trust. Choose action not because it is comfortable, but because it is kind to your future self. Regret grows in waiting. Peace grows in doing. Small actions today create mighty tomorrows, even though they may feel insignificant in the moment. You may look at a single step, a single effort, a single choice, and dismiss it as too small to matter. Yet life is built not on leaps alone, but on the quiet accumulation of ordinary steps taken consistently. Each small action is a seed, planted quietly, that grows roots long before you notice. Over time, those roots become strong enough to support branches that reach far beyond what you imagined. It is easy to underestimate the power of small actions because they rarely demand attention. They are not dramatic, they do not announce themselves, and they rarely bring immediate reward. But they have a subtle persistence. Writing one paragraph, making one phone call, showing one act of kindness, practicing one skill, these are not trivial. They are the foundation of change, the proof that you are willing to move toward what matters, one deliberate step at a time. Small actions also teach patience and resilience. You learn that nothing worthwhile is completed in a single instant. Mastery, growth, and transformation all require repetition. Each time you choose the small, steady step over inaction, you are building more than skill. You are building character. You are proving to yourself that you are capable of following through. You are learning that consistency outweighs occasional brilliance and persistence outlasts fleeting motivation. What makes small actions mighty is how they compound over time. One choice leads to another, one habit encourages another, one effort inspires the next. Like water carving a canyon, they shape your life quietly but profoundly. You may not see the difference day by day, but when you look back, you will see that the landscape of your life has been transformed. Mighty outcomes often arrive not from sudden leaps, but from steady steps taken without fanfare. Small actions also reclaim your power over time. When you wait for perfect moments, perfect plans, or perfect conditions, you give away control. But when you act in small ways today, you shape your own path. You refuse to be a passive observer of life. You choose to influence the direction of your days, to take responsibility for the outcomes you desire. Each small action is a declaration that you are an active participant in your own story. Even failure cannot erase the value of small actions. Each attempt, no matter how modest, teaches you something about your strength, your focus, and your vision. Even missteps contribute to growth because they show you what works, what doesn't, and what you are capable of enduring. Small actions are forgiving in this way. They reward effort and courage, not perfection. Never underestimate the power of the ordinary, the act of beginning, the act of showing up, the act of choosing what matters over what is easy. These are the small actions that create mighty tomorrows. Every great achievement, every life transformed, every dream realized began in exactly this way, with a small step taken today by someone who decided that tomorrow would be built on the effort they were willing to give right now. Your life deserves urgency, intention, and courage, even if the world around you moves slowly or tells you otherwise. There is a quiet pressure that builds in each moment, a reminder that time does not linger and that the hours you are given are precious. To live without urgency is not to live recklessly, but to live as if your days are endless when in truth they are not. Every decision you postpone, every step you hesitate to take, slowly erodes the life you could be building. Urgency is not about haste, it is about honoring the value of each moment and refusing to let it slip by without meaning. Intention is what gives urgency its direction. To move quickly without purpose is to run in circles, to expend energy without creating anything of lasting value. Intention asks you to pause long enough to decide what matters most to you, what your vision for your life truly is, and then to align your actions with that clarity. Every choice becomes significant when it is made with awareness. Eating, working, speaking, resting, learning. These are not just routines, they are opportunities to shape your life intentionally. Living without intention is like building a house without a blueprint. The structure may exist, but it will never stand with strength or beauty. Courage is what transforms urgency and intention into action. There will always be fear, doubt, and uncertainty on the path you choose. Courage does not mean the absence of fear, it means acting despite it. It is the voice inside you that says, I will move forward, even though I am unsure. Courage asks you to take risks, to step into the unknown, and to face the possibility of failure, but it also grants the freedom to try, to grow, and to discover strength you did not know you had. Without courage, urgency becomes anxiety, and intention becomes theory. Only courage turns them into life lived fully. These three, urgency, intention, and courage, are intertwined. Urgency without intention is frantic motion. Intention without urgency becomes stagnation. Courage without either can feel reckless. Together, they form the framework of a meaningful life. They ask you to respect time, to make conscious choices, and to face the discomfort of growth. They call on you to stop postponing your dreams and start building them in real time, with real effort and with unwavering faith in your own potential. Living this way is not always easy. It requires awareness, discipline, and sometimes a willingness to be uncomfortable. but it is the only way to ensure that your life does not drift, that your days are not wasted, and that you do not look back wondering what might have been. Every moment you act with urgency, guided by intention, and fueled by courage, becomes a declaration that your life matters. It becomes proof that you are not waiting for someone else's permission, for perfect timing, or for circumstances to align. You are claiming your life, you are creating it, you are living it fully. And that is how a life of meaning, impact, and fulfillment is built, one deliberate, courageous, urgent, and intentional moment at a time.